years. We, the people, have lost our voice and our power. The flame of U.S. patriotism, freedom, and sovereignty is now a mere flicker. Our children must be taught about the founding of this nation. That will be our responsibility. And accountability, personal empowerment and success, honor, duty to country, religious values, manners, protection, and respect for our nation's flag and our historic documents, and our national anthem are all critical to our national pride. Wouldn't it be a great feeling to revive the flame of American pride and patriotism for our children and grandchildren? We must assume our responsibility as citizens to ensure that elected officials at all levels of government respect not only our Constitution, but the people. We need to ensure going forward that every vote we make is backed up by assurance that the recipient of that precious vote and our pocketbooks, our cars, our homes, our food, our work environment, and so much more. We are on a fast faith, family, freedom, and fidelity to our Constitution, which provides for individual empowerment and limited government. So the question is, and I ask you, are you concerned enough about the future of your state and country to finally stand up, to speak out, and to take action? When we do that, we will demonstrate to our youth that yes, America is an exceptional nation of which they can be proud, and its founding principles are worth fighting for. There's a big task ahead, folks. We can begin by defining goals and an action plan. That is my message. Along with that, I wanted to bring to your attention a book that my friend Diane was kind enough to secure for me. It's personally signed by the author Jay Sekulow, the lead counsel at the American Center for Law and Justice. The book is entitled undemocratic, how unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats are stealing your liberty and freedom. I suggest that you get it. And along with that is another book for children, Proud to Be an American. The words by Lee Greenwood, the singer, and the illustrations for small children about our country, illustrated by Amanda Seculo. As the words of the song go along, there are illustrations to complement that. And one more thing, and then I'm going to introduce my very patient guest. Here we go, folks. My buddy.
If tomorrow all the things were gone I've worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave their right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her till today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Thank you, buddy.
Amen.
God bless America. It's quite a thing. Again, my friend Diane found this and turned me on to it, and I sent for him. A few of them. So I am a patriot like you are, Don. By the way, folks, my guest, Don Tessier. Thanks for coming back, Don.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate
Yep.
it. Always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
You know, you said something before the show began, and I asked you to repeat it on the show because I think it's really pertinent to how many of us senior citizens feel today. What was it you were saying?
I said I think I'm outliving my youth, my old, this country. It's not the country I grew up in, and sometimes I wish I wasn't here, and I shouldn't be feeling that way. It should be joyful. They call it senior golden years, but what's going on is just disturbing to me, and so I think I've almost outlived what I really believed in this country because of the way we're doing it. And what you said in that letter about people not being engaged, and this is one of the reasons why I'm probably discouraged, is that I call people, all right, and I've mentioned today, and I'm not going to mention the organization, but I talked to them about this Iran deal. What you just said today, I gave the gentleman in the room there, Pat Leahy's and Senator Sanders' phone numbers. Mm-hmm. I called their office about this Iran deal. They both are in favor of it, all right? So I asked the person who answered the phone at Senator Leahy's office, I said, I'd like to have an email or a letter from him outlining why he thinks it's a good deal broken down in parts. And one of the things I said, why is it a good deal when we have to give them 24 days warning before we inspect? So I want it in writing. I don't want any spin, I said. I want it in writing and why he feels it's a good deal. And I said, Chuck Schumer from New York, who's a Jewish person, doesn't think it's a good deal. That's good enough for me. Tonight, you should call Bernie Sanders and Pat Leahy and express your support or non-support for that treaty. The Iran people aren't going to live up to it, and I know that. Over the weekend, there's a general that was supposed to be barred from traveling from Iran went to Russia. Russia wants this deal to go through as well as China. Russia wants to sell them arms. China wants to get their oil. So these people aren't our favors, all right? So we need to watch them just as close. So we need to put on a calling system. So the person I called was dealing with the American Legion. I said, how's the American Legion stand on this? And we said, well, we don't get involved in political stuff. Well, I said this morning on the radio, there was a group of veterans who said that they're going to start holding these senators accountable if they vote in favor of it. If you go back in history, Iran's been hooked to a lot of deaths of American soldiers overseas, Beirut and all these other places, all right? There's blood on their hands, and here we are giving them a soft deal. I can't figure out in my mind why John Kerry and Barack Obama even talked to these people. We gave out too much. We should have walked away, and there's a lot of people who are saying that. And so my goal is to make sure that Pat Leahy, who's coming up for re-election in 2016, be held accountable for his votes. And they also, both of them, were in favor of funding Planned Parenthood, all right, and abortions and selling those baby parts, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But you know, that's really disturbing to me, and I hope to a lot of other people that we need. This is a point in my life that I'm going to work really hard to try to right the ship.
And that is exactly what I was going to come back with when you said you feel, in so many words, and correct me if I'm saying,
Go right ahead.
Say it wrong here, that you feel your usefulness in terms of being a stalwart proponent of our American history and culture and so forth. Those days are, you know, past. But my feeling is that we're the ones who grew up in a country that is foreign to us now, because so much has changed. The culture has changed. The sense of financial responsibility at government level has changed. The size of government has grown. It's mushroomed and ballooned to a place where it's unaffordable and unsustainable. We are no longer a sovereign nation, because those who are elected, especially the ones at the national level, are more interested in global government than they are preserving our sovereign nation. And so hence we have a porous border that is allowing ISIS, all kinds of drug runners and you know, other criminals. They're not all, but nevertheless, a lot of the drugs, I was just reading about how many drugs, oh gosh, how many millions worth of dollars and pounds, 157 pounds of heroin was found in an apartment in New York City. But it was never brought on the news. It was kept quiet. Secret. Yeah. But it had come from Mexico. And there's a big problem in a community, I can't remember the name of it, on the Arizona-Mexico border, where the people are just up in arms, you know, and the federal government, what did the federal government do? Nothing. When Jan Brewer, the governor of Arizona, tried to protect her state, what did they do? They sued the state? That is unbelievable. So, you know, and then all of this anti-Christianity that's going on in our military. Let's talk about that at another point. But let me write that down so I don't forget. Okay. You know, I'm at that age. Military. Okay, religion. And one more thing in response to what you said about Iran. For folks who don't pay attention and don't know, or maybe don't watch Fox News so that you get the facts, our government has signed an agreement with Iran. I think it's Khomeini, is it? Yeah. Who goes around saying death to America and death to Israel. Okay, but we're signing an agreement with them. Are you kidding me? So that they can eventually have nuclear weapons. Well, you said 24 days before they can inspect.
You have to have 24-day notice.
Yeah. Well, guess what? The United States, according to this agreement, has no authority to go in there at any time. It's the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency. It's part of the United Nations, which I don't trust either. Exactly. They're the ones who will go in there and supposedly check to see, you know, if Iran is abiding by this agreement. But I don't expect Iran saying death to America. is going to agree to, how could we make an agreement with a country like that?
And that gentleman, that high official that left and went into Russia to buy arms to fight us and the Israelis, okay? And this is why I'm upset about the Jewish people, is that they need to be a voice. And I brought this book in, Hitler's Last Stand, all right? And they were complacent back in the 30s and the 40s, the Jewish people, and the Americans as well. We just watched him go take Europe and everything, and we sat back and did anything. And look what happened, the atrocities. I don't know how many millions of those people.
Wasn't it 6 million?
6 million or
Jews?
7 million Jews were killed in those concentration camps. And I read the book Killing Patton, and it almost made me sick when I read about these concentration camps and what they did to these people and what they did to the children. And that brings me back, and we'll talk about it later, but what they did to children for medical experiments. I don't know if they sold any of the body parts, but it's almost the same as what Planned Parenthood is doing now, killing babies and selling the body parts. It's like I told you before we went on the air. I'm an organ donor, so when I die, I hope I can help somebody, all right? And if they can take some of my body and do some experimental, I don't care. I'm dead, it's okay with me.
And it was, you died of natural causes.
That's right.
It wasn't euthanasia, it wasn't Act 39, this bill in Vermont where you can take medicine to kill yourself, physician-assisted suicide, and it wasn't Planned Parenthood. It was a natural cause, and it was your choice to have your parts shared.
Right, and I figured, like, I give blood every time I'm available.
Good for you.
And I was telling somebody the last time I gave blood, the first time I've done this, I gave 2 units of red cells, which they say is more important because...
Pheresis? Did you do pheresis?
I don't know what to call it, but I did 2 units of red cells.
No, okay.
Okay, and they take the red cells and then they put the fluid back in me. All right, that's the first time I ever done it. And it made me a little bit tired, but I got an email from the American Red Cross a few weeks ago saying that the blood I gave the last time went to New Hampshire for somebody. And that made me feel good.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you, did you give it in Burlington?
No, I gave it down to Holy Angels.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe somebody can call in and tell me what I did.
Yeah, there's something called plasmapheresis.
That could be it.
Where
something
they
with
take
plasma
out.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah, I used to work for the American Red Cross blood program as a nurse drawing blood, and also as an account executive. I had northern New Hampshire and northern Vermont as my territory. And it was I was proud to work there.
Somebody call in and tell me what I did then.
And also the phone number, folks, 527-6449. It popped up on the screen as I mentioned it. So feel free to call in and chime in on any of the topics that we're talking about. We'd love to have your input. There is so much going on in this country that runs counter to the way we were raised, whether it be as an individual or as a country or even as a state. You and I both know, Don, that the states were meant to be independent.
That's what the forefathers said.
Exactly. Every state had its own government, and it you know what a big part of the problem is? Grants.
Yeah.
Every time the federal government comes up with a grant, it's because they have some program that they want implemented, and money buys it for them.
And they control it.
Yes.
Where we can't.
Yes.
Yeah. I just, like I said, when I've got on this one, and we got to go down and see if we qualify for welfare. Remember we're going to do that?
Yes, let's set a date.
We'll do that. But it gets me, so I was talking to these people in the legislature, well, we can't deny them because we got the federal funds. Send back the federal funds, tell them to go to Washington to get it. We'll take care of our own. When we have to be told what to do by outsiders, it's not good for the state.
You're absolutely right. Let's switch over for a minute to this huge problem, one of many problems that we have in this state and in this nation. But I'll focus on Vermont right now. We have a huge drug problem.
Yep.
A huge drug problem. In fact, I was going through...
$3 million.
Yes, Leahy.
Opium. Yep,
Yeah.
opium treatments. We talked about
Opiate.
that. Yeah.
Heroin treatment. Yeah.
Is it heroin or opium? I can't remember.
It's heroin.
Heroin. Okay.
Let me put my spectacles on. Make a spectacle of myself. Yes. What really? Okay. Department of Health data shows, for example, that between 2004 and 2013, the number of Vermonters in treatment for opiate addiction grew from 1,199 to 4,043 people.
That's
an increase of almost 3,000.
in our state. We're only 626,000 total peoples.
Yeah. Now, I want to know why. Why are so many people addicted to drugs? What is their purpose in life? What I want to know, what is their education level? What are their work skills? Their job skills? Are they on welfare? These would be good questions to ask when we go down to the Agency of Human Services here. Are they native Vermonters? Or have they come here for our very generous welfare programs and then brought in drugs or got into drugs? I want to know.
Yeah. They might not tell us because they feel that that's privileged information. But
Wait a minute. We pay the taxes.
Well, I think transparency is supposed to be in the state here, but sometimes they don't do it. All right. I'm with you on that because I want to help people who need to be helped. And we talked about this before we went on the air. These people in this opium treatments, they don't go home at night. They're going to go to a clinic and they're going to stay there. And they're not going to be leaving that clinic. They're going to be staying there until they're cured.
We wish.
And, right. Well, then when you're cured, we're going to make sure you're trained in something and you're going to go out and get a job.
Yes.
All right. You're not just going to get treated, go home and do it again.
Exactly.
We got to make the consequences.
Yes, and what you have just described is exactly what Teen Challenge does. That program in Johnson, Vermont, and actually it's in other states and it's around the world. It's a phenomenal residential-based, spiritually based, job-based, relationship training-based program that has like an 86% success rate.
That's very, very good.
And actually, if you know anyone, they're looking for a transition house in the Burlington area somewhere so that when they leave this 15-month program, now a number of those who go through the program successfully choose to stay on and help with the new people coming into the program. I'm 100% with you that people who are strongly addicted or just addicted need to be confined to a place where it's intense, it's all kinds of training, relationship training, they all have jobs, it's religious. You know, you learn that there's a spirit in the world bigger than yourself.
Right.
And
well, that's it, because you're going to be with people who want to be helped, and they're going to help each other. When they get out of that treatment on a daily basis and go home, they get back to the same people who put them in that situation. So they're going back. They're going from good to bad, bad back to good. So they don't have that. So they need that for, like you said, for at least a year or so until they're cured, and they'll come out and then they'll be good citizens. That's the key.
They can't be free to go back to the neighborhood or the individuals who are fostering their addiction.
Right.
And when I learned a while ago that what we were going to do here, and I may misspeak, someone who's watching, if I got it wrong, please call in and let me know, that instead of when we have offenders, drug offenders, unless they, like it's a felony, okay, they're not going to take them to court. They're going to take them to NCSS or somewhere else for counseling, and then they're going to have a monitor for them in the community. But I think they're going to be free to roam. And if you're addicted, you are going to march yourself right to the place where you can get your addiction fed.
Right.
So I appreciate that they're trying to do something. But tell me how that's going to work if they're not separated,
Right.
and have an intense program for over a year.
And
So-
that program make them feel good about themselves. That's the key, is where they start feeling good about themselves and they want to live because they have look at something to look forward to live. And but just by putting a Band-Aid on them and putting them back out, all they do is just prolong it.
Exactly.
And then they're going to get in trouble, and then they're going to go to jail. All right, and it's
Then
going to
what
cost us a lot of money in jail. It's better off to do this, and like you said, train them, get them off the program, make them good citizens. This is the goal: is to
Teach
make
them
them
a
good.
skill.
That's right.
Do you know they help them to get jobs, and
Yeah.
they have job training, well, like with plumbers or electricians or whatever, during the time that they are, in the program. And, I just have all good things to say about this. And Teen Challenge does not take one government dollar.
Oh, really?
Not one.
That's good.
That is good. So, I feel badly saying what I'm saying because there is a program they're trying to put together. But I think unless you deal with the whole individual, and they're talking about incorporating other entities, other agencies, other services, in the area. One of the things I'd like to know is, are the people who are going to be treated through Northwestern Medical Center and various agencies around here that, like probably NCSS and other entities, are the people who are going to be treated here local people, or are they going to import them from other places in the state? They name four places in Vermont: Chittenden County, Rutland County, Addison County, and Franklin County. Are the four major.
It should be county-based, and we'll take care of our people up here, Chittenden County and Rutland County, and what was the other county?
Addison.
Addison County. It surprises me, Addison County. Well, of course, it's Middlebury College and stuff down there. I shouldn't.
Near Rutland.
Near Rutland, and of course, then you got the colleges down there, Castleton. So you got good, but the population, Addison County, I would assume is similar, about the same as Vermont, because that's a big agricultural county.
Yeah. I don't think it's a high
Uses.
population.
No, it isn't a high population
No.
I know of. So it surprised me they have that kind of usage. I mean, we got like 45,000 people here.
48.
48, and so that
Maybe a little higher.
But I really believe in my heart a lot of that's transient people coming up from down south with this drug stuff. Because if you look in the paper and on television, when they pick up these people in the drugs, they're not from Vermont. They've come in from Connecticut and Massachusetts. It's like you read in the paper, a guy's doing 90 miles an hour on Interstate 91, and they find all kind of heroin and marijuana in the back of his car. And I mean, how dumb can you be? Going 90 miles an hour on the interstate, and you got contraband in your car.
Well, and it's a very, very sad situation.
It is.
These are human lives that have potential. They've gotten lost. They need help. And if we're going to help them, let's ensure that we're taking a path with them that will help them to build a new life, a new perspective, respect for themselves, hope for the future, a skill so that they can be independent, and how to develop healthy relationships with people. There seems to be a lot of anger out there, and people are defensive and angry, and they're not happy with their lives. And if you say anything to a person who's addicted, let's say a young person, you're a family member, and if you start to say something that makes them feel guilty or whatever, then they get angry and defensive.
Right.
And that's no way to have a family relationship. How many families are affected by this?
Quite a few. It's a big problem, no doubt about it. But like you said, by being in that confinement, with people who are the same as yours, and you're all working together to come out of that situation. You're almost like a team. It's like a football team. You're all in the goal to take the ball across the goal line. And I think once you get that spirit in your heart, and you got to be, you don't want to surround yourself with negative people. And that's what would happen. They'll go back to people who are still on drugs and get them back on drugs. You want to be around people who want to make something out of their lives, be happy, and look to the future. I mean, my mother used to say, if you run with a dog, you're a dog.
It's the company you keep.
Right.
Says a lot about you.
That's right.
And people fall into these traps, and I can understand people who have an accident or a major surgery, and they're put on, addictive drugs, and then the next thing you know, they're hooked on them. And I know of cases where that's happened. And so it's not just treating the addiction, it's treating the life of that person, that, a much broader perspective. And I know that Teen Challenge works, so why not duplicate that?
Yes. Why build a new wheel?
Exactly. Exactly.
Why build a new wheel?
We care about these people.
Yeah.
We need them. Many of them are young people. We need them to be productive members of society. And so
you have another Einstein out there who don't even know it. I mean, there's a lot of talented people that get hooked on that drugs, and it just ruins their lives. And some of them die because they commit suicide or they OD and things like that. And then they start breaking into places, and then they go to jail. I mean, the consequences is just bad, bad, bad.
And if they have marijuana in the car, or if they're hooked on alcohol and they're driving along and the police are following them, which happened recently, they try to evade the police, and then they get into more trouble. What do you think about this in relation to it? And then we'll hop on to something else.
Yeah.
When I ran for office, part of my platform was, let it be known that crime does not pay in the state of Vermont. How do you do that? You let it be known that it's not okay to break the law, or there will be consequences.
Hard consequences.
Yes, and the minute you namby-pamby them and say, oh, well, they didn't mean it, oh, they've had a hard life, oh, this, oh, that, they're sad, you can't make excuses for them, because that just enhances their situation to continue.
It's just an alibi to keep moving down that wrong path.
And yes, and they won't. We need to let it be known that Vermont's a tough state. And if you're going to do wrong here, you're going to pay the price.
Right.
And people will say, and we need to respect law enforcement,
right,
which is a problem in this country today. We need to let our law enforcement officers at all levels, state police, sheriff's office, local police, whatever, and of course our military, let it be known that we are behind them. We want them to enforce the laws. And one more thing, our federal government is not allowing the Border Patrol to enforce the laws.
Well, that's what happened in San Francisco again. Remember that veteran I told you, that lady was killed by that illegal alien?
Yep.
I think she retired from the Air Force, was a veteran, and he broke into her house, raped her and all this stuff here, and she died. All right. And it's because San Francisco's a sanctuary city. They don't do anything. And ICE, and I can't figure out why, the federal government says, you're going to be in trouble. We're going to come in there. But for some reason, our government, DOJ, and all those people are sitting there and saying, well, we can't do that, we can't do that. They're respecting the city's rights when they don't want to do something, but when they want you to do something, they say you don't have the rights. You must do it. So it's a double standard in the United States government. So because I'm not enforcing sanctuary, they don't care. But if I would, like for example, if I'm on welfare, you've got to take Don Tessier if he comes from Mexico and give him money. Well, that's not right.
Nope.
They're telling me I can have to do it this way, but this time I'm not going to bother you. But I mean, it's a double standard, which I just can't understand.
Can you imagine being a law enforcement officer, a sheriff, border patrol, whatever, and knowing what your job is, to protect the border, to keep safety and security within your area of work, and then to have the government, your government, tell you that you cannot do your job.
Right. And if you do it, and you do something a little bit wrong, and you don't follow protocol, you go to jail.
Yep.
And
Well,
you get fired, which is, ludicrous as far as I'm concerned.
Now, do we have a sanctuary city in Vermont?
I don't know.
I don't know if Burlington is or not.
That's a good question. Anybody know the answer? But I could ask. I'll stop by when I see a border patrol sometime. I'll ask him. Is the hands off? Because if it is, we need the Vermonters need to stop that because.
Well, there's something I'm going to be playing a video another week about sanctuary cities.
Mm-hmm. There's 100 of them in the United States, so we could be part of it.
Well, it's pretty scary.
Well, Virginia Beach, where I just came back from, when I went down there to visit my sister who flew in from San Antonio, they were a sanctuary city until that guy ran over that little girl and killed her because he was drunk. And the people down there just went baloney down there.
I bet they did.
And guess what? They fired a bunch of those people in the Virginia Beach government and put a whole new thing in there. They're no longer a sanctuary city.
Good.
And, I mean, this is what it takes. It takes the locals to demand that the people enforce the laws. Right?
And
I mean,
that's what I
assume
said
Gary Taylor enforces the laws. I don't know who the mayor is his boss. I don't know